Hey nail babes, it's your girl Taylor. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you how I did this beautiful flower set. If you want to know how I did it, just keep on watching.
Like Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis, Fendi, Fendi, Prada. Them basic bitches wear that shit, so I don't even bother. Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis, Fendi, Fendi.
Hey nail babes, today I'm going to just get right into this video. If you are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button, like and comment, share if you want to. It will really help out this channel and trying to get into YouTube's algorithm. I am starting off with some really long duck nail tips that I found on Shein or Sheen. Still don't know if I'm saying that right, but I took these duck nail tips, and for so long I've been just using them as is, and I started comparing my work. I don't know why I do that, but I started comparing my work because I was like, I really think my duck nail shape, like people be telling me my duck nail shape is slim, but like I was like, I've been seeing some bomb duck nails, and I never really was a duck nail fan at first, but I've been really liking the new Instagram duck nail style. So I noticed that when I was doing duck nails, I was leaving the tips as is, and they were coming out, they look a little wide to me. So I was looking at other people's duck nails and trying to figure out like how you make them slim. So I watched a few videos and I saw that you could taper nails in on the side like I did in the last video. So I had watched some videos on how to taper some nails. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm just using my sanding band and I'm trying to change the shape of these duck nails. So you see how they came? They were like a little bit wider. So by me using my sanding band and taking them in on the side, I was able to get like a much slimmer look. And I think that this set came out way more fire than any of my other duck nail sets. So I think I'm gonna start doing this from now on. Look at those, much more slim, right? So basically my goal was just to make sure that the tips were not overlapping each other. Where the tips flare out at the bottom, I just wanted to make sure that when I closed my hands, the tips were not touching. And that was pretty much it. Like, yeah, it was easier than I thought. But they said you definitely want to do it before you apply your acrylic, so that made a lot of sense because it's way harder to change a duck nail shape after you've already done your nails. I'm going in with this acrylic that I found in my little collection. I had like a little small kit of Model 1's acrylics that I got off of Amazon a little minute ago. And it came with this brown. Now, I've never worn brown on myself because I'm brown. So I wasn't really sure how it was going to look, but I was willing to give it a try because I wanted to do something different than the traditional like pink. I'm always doing pink nails. So I was like, how about a nude? How about brown? And I think that it kind of matched my skin perfectly by the time these nails was finished. Like they looked pretty good to me. I might start doing more nude nails. So right now I'm just building up some structure of these duck nails, and I'm gonna talk you through how I did my duck nail application when I get to the next nail. Okay, so here we are. I'm using my Kalinsky. I think this is a number 14 or 16. And I just grab a big enough bead to cover the tip of the nail, so where the natural nail meets the nail tip. I'm going to bring that first bead of acrylic all the way down to the bottom and pat pat the excess off with my brush. And next I'm gonna move in for my kinda apex bead. The reason I say kinda is because duck nails is a different shape from what I'm used to, so usually I'll just build up the apex at the end, so you'll be able to see me do that once I've completed the application for this part. So this is my kinda apex bead. I just say kinda because it's smaller. So usually you would go in with a larger bead for the apex area, but I just wanted to cover the entire nail first before trying to see how big I wanted the apex area to be. Here I'm applying my cuticle bead, and as you can see, I placed it close to the cuticle area but not touching the cuticle area. I'm just gonna pat it down sidewall to sidewall to make sure it fits, and then swipe it down to blend in with the rest of the acrylic. Here is where I'm gonna show you how I'm building that apex. So you see how there's a little dent in the nail? I grab a larger bead than I originally used, and I swipe up on that bead, pat it in place, and then swipe down on the bead. And that's how I build the structure for the duck nail, because I didn't want the apex area to be too large, but I also didn't want it to be really flat. So when I noticed that this nail had a better structure than the first nail that I did, I went back in with the first nail and added another bead the same way I just did. So I'm gonna pat it in place, swipe up on the bead, and then swipe down on the bead. At this point, I started to feel some warmth, and I think that was just a liquid to powder ratio issue. So this bead dried much slower than the bead that I used for the other nail. So I started patting a little bit more fast to make sure that it's covering the entire nail. This did create a little gap, so I went ahead and added another small bead to the bottom because the first bead didn't go all the way down. And just like that, both of my nails are pretty much identical. For my middle finger, I wanted to do some glitter. So I found like this champagne color glitter that I made a long time ago. It was just like some dip powder that I found on Amazon, and I mixed it with some clear acrylic, and it gave me this champagne type gold clear-ish glitter. So I just used that for my middle finger, my pinky, and my thumb. But on the pinky and thumb, it's gonna be a little ombre. This middle finger is gonna be a full cover nail, so I'm just gonna repeat the same steps from the first two fingers onto this finger. This duck nail application was making me so happy because they were all coming out really, really smooth. But now I'm taking the same glitter acrylic and I'm just gonna apply it where the tip meets the natural nail, but this time I made sure to flatten out the top of the bead so that it does blend in with the brownish nude acrylic. So I'm trying to make sure that it was as smooth as possible and pretty thin. I didn't want this part to be too thick because I am gonna have to cap this nail since it's an ombre. Just like the first couple of nails, I'm going to take a larger bead, place it right in the center, swipe up on the bead and swipe down on the bead, and that's just going to complete my ombre and help me to build a little apex. This is how the nails are looking so far. Now I'm gonna go with my Model 1's clear acrylic as always, and I'm going to do a thin bead of acrylic just to cover the ombre. For those who may not know, this step is just to ensure that when I go in for filing, I won't remove my ombre design. And just like that, we are finished with the application process. And now we're gonna go in for filing and shaping. This is probably the first time I am not using my 5-in-1 Pana nail drill bit, but this time I'm just using something that I had in my collection that I got probably when I first started doing nails, just because my 5-in-1 bit was in the sanitizing box. So I just went ahead and tried to see if I can do it with something that I had previously. I don't like this bit as much, so I'm not going to recommend it for someone who has been doing nails for a while. But for a beginner, this bit is great to seal your cuticle area because it's so round and you don't have to worry about cutting yourself at all. Like, you can get really close, you can touch your skin and everything with this bit. So I will say that it's good for the cuticle area, but I don't think that it's as good when it comes to shaping out the rest of the nail. It's just not as smooth in my opinion. Like, it's not it's not as gritty, so it doesn't take off a whole lot at a time. Now, if you did your application really smooth, then this bit would definitely work for you. But my thumb was not smooth, so trying to use this bit to get out all the shape did not work for me. I had to go in with my hand file to get out any lumps that I didn't want in the nail. The rest of the nails were smooth, so this bit was fine to use for the rest. I have finally found the 60/60 grit hand files that are from the same exact brand that I usually use Well, the files look exactly the same and they work exactly the same except for the 6060 grit. Sorry, I got a phone call, but the 6060 grit is way better for filing acrylics. It's way more rough, and overall it just gets the job done with less effort. Now I'm just gonna go back in with the same bit and blend. I'm basically just trying to get out the scratches a little bit and blend everything smooth. So for the rest of my fingers, none of them had crazy lumps or anything. For the most part, the acrylic application was smooth, so I was able to use this bit to just go over the entire nail and just move on to my actual 5-in-1 bit that I use to finish the job. Now I'm gonna go ahead and use my pen bit to go ahead and make my moon shape. So this moon shape I've already shown in a previous video, so if I can link the video I will link it. But I'm just gonna make these nails extra crispy at the bottom because that's just personal preference. You could of course leave the nails square, but I just don't prefer square. Now I'm gonna just buff these nails until they're squeaky smooth, and I'm gonna wipe my hands down with some isopropyl alcohol. And now we're gonna get started with the nail designs. So I'm just starting off with some top coat, and I'm just gonna put the top coat on every nail. At first I wasn't sure if I wanted to put the top coat on every nail, so I just did these two, but I am gonna go ahead and just top coat all of them. Now I'm preparing my monomer. So I put a little bit of monomer in a little jar, and I put a couple drops of acetone in there and just swirled it around to make sure it was blended in real good. So the reason I add acetone is to make these beads of acrylic dry a little bit faster, because we are of course going to do some acrylic 3D flowers. So first things first, I'm going to start off with adding my bling bling, and I'm going to cure that in the lamp because this is where I want this rhinestone to stay. I'm just using my Macart rhinestone gel to apply my bling bling before going in with my acrylic. So I'm just going to dab my 3D nail art brush. I'm going to link this brush in the description box below if you want to use this one. This is old. It's from Mia Secret, but it does the job every time. So I just grab a small bead of acrylic and I place it where I want it to go. And so as you can see, I place 2 beads at the same time so that it gives the first bead a chance to dry while I'm applying the second one. The reason why you want your acrylic beads to be kind of on the drier side, or at least dried out, is so that you can move them around without them melting, basically. So as you can see, since the acrylic had some time to sit, I'm now able to use the tip of my 3D art brush to press down into the center of the acrylic beads. So that's going to give you the flower petal effect. As your beads are drying, you want to continue to press in the center, because while they're setting, they might puff up a little bit. So you want to be able to continue to press them down. So now I'm gonna add on my next 2 acrylic beads, and as you can see, I'm allowing the first bead to set while I'm placing the second bead. Now I'll go in and start pressing the beads out, but you want to give each bead time to rest. Make sure that you're only using the very tip of your brush to press the center of the bead, because you don't want to completely mash the whole bead of acrylic that you just formed. Once I have the petals pressed the way that I want them, I'm going to go ahead and allow the whole flower to dry before doing any more designs or anything else. So for this nail, I'm going to actually do another flower. So I'm going to go back in with my Macart rhinestone gel and place another rhinestone and cure it in the lamp. Now I'm going to do the same thing for this flower that I did with the other flower, but this flower is going to have way more petals. As you can see, placement of the bead is key, because that first bead that I just placed, it ran over on top of the rhinestone. Now you don't want it to do that, because you'll completely take away all the shininess from your bling bling, and we don't want that. So if you see the bead starting to run, go ahead and press it in, but that's just a bad liquid to powder ratio. So if your liquid to powder ratio is correct, then you'll be able to place a bead without it spreading all over the place. Room temperature can also be another factor. So if your room is cold, you definitely want to add acetone to the acrylic to solidify the acrylic much faster. Now if your room is too warm, we want to do the opposite and add alcohol. Rubbing alcohol will loosen the acrylic so that it doesn't dry too quickly. Now I'm just going in with some gel polish. I did make these nails to pop off, so I don't plan on keeping these nails on. If I was, I would have gone in with either some Gorilla Glue or rhinestone gel. But I'm not doing that here, so I'm just going to use my top coat to apply my rhinestones, cure them in the lamp, and continue with the rest of my designs. Here I wanted to add another large charm just to make these nails real extra, because that's how I am, you know. So I decided to add like a big old cross to the center of that one. I cured it, and then I went in with another charm for this finger and some more 3D flowers. Now I'm gonna kind of show you how I make a pointed flower. So the sides of this flower are gonna be rather rounded, but my top petal and my very bottom petal, you'll see that in pink, that the top petal and the bottom petal are going to be pointed. So really, ideally, you want to lay your bead down and immediately begin forming the sharp tip of the flower, because it's going to be much easier to mold in that shape. And I was still deciding at this point whether or not I wanted it to be round or pointed, so I decided to go for pointed. So you see me using the sides of my brush to bring in the very tip of the flower to create that shape. Now when I move on to the pink petals, you'll be able to see me go ahead and create that point much faster because I already knew what I wanted. So I'll show you that in a second. Here I am moving on to my bottom pink petals. So for this first petal, I'm gonna place it down and immediately begin to move the petal downward towards the tip and create the pointed shape with the sides of my brush. You want to do that immediately so the acrylic doesn't harden too much while you're still trying to mold it into the shape that you want. So once you have the petal, like the basic shape of the petal formed, you'll just go ahead and continue to press the petal as it dries to get it as flat as you want it before moving on. Now, as you can see, I have my petals fully formed, and now I'm just gonna go in with a couple more rhinestones just to give this set a little more fancy look. I just decided to go for just one rhinestone right in the middle because I kind of liked how the empty spaces looked on the side of the nail charm, so I just left it as is. And that was pretty much it for this set. I just decided to go ahead and add on some more larger charms and just bedazzle this set because I wanted it to be like real poppy, real blingy, real springy. Okay, so that's what I did with this. But yeah, like, feel free to watch the rest of the process, but that was about it. Like, you'll be able to see like the last couple finishing touches if you want to go ahead and watch that. But the nail set was rather easy. Like, it didn't, like, as long as you practice your 3D flowers, you'll be able to recreate this set. Please tag me and show me if you do recreate this, because this was one of the sets that were was like more on the fun side, and I really enjoyed creating this set. And I don't know, like, let me know how y'all like to do y'all freestyles, because when I'm ready to go in and do a freestyle design, I have absolutely zero idea of what I'm about to do. Like, from the color of my nails to the design of my nails, like everything, the shape. I don't really be knowing what I want to do when I first start out. I just be going for it, and I just continue to add on and build as I go. But anyways, if you like this video, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, of course, to your girl, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss any future uploads. And that is all for today's video. Make sure you keep your eyes peeled for the next video, because I will be dropping another one very soon. And I will catch you and see you guys over there. Bye.
Gucci, Gucci, Louis, Louis, Fendi, Fendi.